Hi, I'm Quinn, and this is the ranking of the top 10 Bond fights. And my only rule is that there's no fights, none of the fights count that were in the pre-title sequence. So with that, this is my dishonorable mention. The reason this is my dishonorable mention is for two reasons. One is because the excessive use of the slow-mo, as you can see here. And the other is the, I guess how he, zaps Bond, which I think really makes the movie silly, I guess you could put it. And I think it really brings the film down to that aspect. The reason this is a questionable mention and not a dishonorable mention is because the fight itself is good. It's just the background projection, I guess you could put it, of the boat is really just brings the fight itself down. If you watch this fight for what it is, it's actually a pretty solid fight, but I think the background of the boat just, like here, that ruins this really good fight. I think, although I talk about this more in the worst Bond moments, I think it's fine in the, questionable mention category. Honorable mentions, I enjoy all of these fights. It's just, I think the other ones are better, and that's the Dr. No fight, which I think is a very solid fight, but when you compare it to other fights in the series, it's not anything really special, although I like how Dr. No dies from his own, gadget, I guess you could put it. The next is the plane fight in Octopus, and I've talked about this a lot, so I'm just going to keep it brief and saying, I like how it's a, they don't have this type of fight that often, and that's what I like about it most. The next is the Bond versus Sanchez fight in License to Kill, and I just think I think everything leading up to it was great. That's, I think, the main reason why it's here. Number 10 isn't really a great fight, but it includes one of my favorite henchmen and one of my favorite gadgets, and that is the fight with Bond versus Rosa Klebb in From Russia with Love. And although it's not a great fight, I'm just going to say I love it because of the combination of those three things that I talked about. Number 9 is a tie between two fights which are practically the same thing. That's why I included it. And it's the Die Another Day sword fight and the Casino Royale fight with the, swordmen. And the reason I like these two so much is because I just think swords are cool and I like Bond. So if you combine those two things, you get something that I love. And I think every time Bond has a sword fight, it's one of the great moments in the series. And that Die Another Day sword fight is the best thing in all of Die Another Day. Whereas in Casino Royale, it's just so unexpected. I was watching that scene, I was blown away because it was so well choreographed and just action-packed, and it was perfect for the films that they were in. It's an extremely long scene, so I'm just going to show a small portion of it, but that's the Skyfall, I guess the fight at the house, and I just think it's so well done, with the Bond car and the gunman and all the gadgets that they set up. I love how they have M. I think it's so perfect in every way, and I think it's a great finale to one of my favorite Bond films. Number 7, and, I don't know what to say about it. I just think when I watch Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker, it's just something that I really look forward to, and that's the fights between Bond and Jaws, and there is many of them, so it's time for a mashup, really, and trust me, there's a lot of them. You go through these two movies, and you could find so many individual fights between the two, and that's what I love about it. Although Jaws is only in 2 movies, he really has a solid amount of fights with Bond. It's incredible how they can give these two so many encounters in such a short period of time and actually make it relevant to the plot, and I think that's one of the best parts about it. I love how Jaws is clearly, the stronger one, but Bond always either bullshits him or uses some sort of gadget against him, and I think that's isn't that what we all love about Bond, him just bullshitting everyone? But I don't know really what to say about this in particular. It's just I think it's a great thing that they have in the Roger Moore era, and I'm glad it was in the Roger Moore era instead of the Connery era. That would have been weird to have Jaws in the Connery era, but I love how they have Roger Moore versus Jaws, and in these two movies, I love how it's just sort of an expected, when you watch them, you just, know it's coming, and it's a fun thing to watch, really. I think that's one of the best parts about it, really. Honestly, I'm running out of things to say, but I just think it's a really enjoyable thing to watch, to see how Bond, I guess, outwits Jaws, and which is not really that hard because Jaws is kind of an idiot, but I love these fights, and I couldn't choose one particular one, that's why they're all on the list, but I think this is a solid spot for them, seeing as some of them aren't as good as others, like the gondola fight's pretty weak, whereas this fight in Atlantis is very well done. Number 6, I think, is basically a more creative version, I guess you could put it, of the fight between Bond and Gambinda and Octopussy, and I think this is a really well done fight. I think the score here is incredible, and by the way, that score list, I meant it to be a track list, so I'm going to redo that sometime in the far future, and I just think this is such a well done fight. I love how the Bond girls just making this super difficult for both of them. I love how they connect the close-ups of the fight between, the zoom-out shots, like right here, with them like hanging on. I love how they match up very well, and I think that's a credit to the editors and directors for really making it look like it's actually happening between the two, and I think that's one of the things that makes this fight so good. It's already a great fight, but if it didn't match up, kind of like, again, that Moonraker fight with Gondola, how it didn't match up, but I love this fight so much, and I think it's so well done. Number 5, kind of like the Jaws fight, how it is in one particular fight, and that's just the entire Tomorrow Never Dies stealth boat, and the reason I enjoy it so much is because it's Bond and, the Bond girl versus a series of different villains, whether it's Elliot Carver, the main henchman, or just some random, extras. And I just love how it's just so action-packed. Tomorrow Never Dies is one of my favorite films because it's just so crazily overdone with the action. I think that's why I like this scene so much, because they have literally everything in this. You have guns blazing, you have rocket launchers going, you have fires, you have knife throwing at one point, and I just love it all how they kind of pull like a Die Another Day with a dual fight going on, which is, I'm all for it. Number 4, and don't yell at me because this isn't really a fight, but I love this scene, and that's the Bond versus Scaramanga gun battle, I guess you could put it, from Man with the Golden Gun. I just think this is the most well-done scene in the entire movie. I think it's definitely the high point of the movie, arguably even more than, the car flipping stunt. And the reason I enjoy this so much is because the entire movie leads to this one point. I know Scaramanga has that solar thing, but do you really care about that? What you care about is Bond versus Scaramanga, and they do it in such a way that makes it so engaging. I love how Bond uses that, fake mannequin and pretends to be it in order to kill Scaramanga, and I think what I like it is how he, outsmarts them in a way by, going under the stage so that they can't find him, so they really can't plot against him, and I just think it's a perfect climax to this movie, and although people may hate this movie, this is one of the reasons why I enjoy it so much. Top 3 are all in a class of their own. They all flip-flop for me, but as of right now, number 3 is the From Russia with Love Red Grant versus Bond fight, and the main difference between all 3, I guess, is the spacing between them, and I love this close combat, and I think this is the first example of Bond versus an equal. I know this is only the second Bond film, but that doesn't really happen again until The Man with the Golden Gun. I just think it's so well done here. I love how their fight doesn't really have anything to do with gadgets till the way end. It's just Bond versus Red Grant going at it, I guess more, not as much wit, just his fighting skills, kind of like in GoldenEye, but I just think this is so well done, and I love how Red Grant dies from his own gadget, but I love how they depend on the gadgets at the beginning, with the briefcase blowing up, and Bond using the knife at the end here, but I love how in between is just them, hand-to-hand combat, and it's just so well done, and definitely the high point of arguably my favorite Bond film, and kind of like The Man with Golden Gun, why I like it, this is why I like From Russia with Love. Number 2, whenever I point to one scene in GoldenEye, it is this scene. That is 006 versus 007 just going at it. This scene is, I think, the longest Bond versus henchman, villain, whatever fight in the entire series, and it deserves to be. I love how they're quite literally equals because they're next to each other in the 007 status, and Trevelyan's meant to be better, but Bond proves he's better by dumb luck, really. Like, he was screwed till the end, but I love this fight for so many reasons. GoldenEye is my favorite movie, and I really wanted to see a good final showdown between the two, and this movie has everything, and this is what I want in a film, is a really good Bond versus villain fight, and this is definitely what you get. And I think it also includes one of the best lines in the entire series when Bond is facing Trevelyan at the bottom of the cradle, and I just think it's so perfect in every way. I'm so happy that this is the climax in the movie, and as soon as it happens, the movie ends, and it's just perfect how they just I love how Natalia actually has a real meaning to the plot right here, and unlike most Bond girls, she really does affect the outcome of, I guess, Bond in general, and has one of the best lines ever in this.
For England, James? No. For me.
Number 2 and number 1 are really close, but I think number 1 is the best Bond fight ever, and the reason it is because unlike the GoldenEye fight, Bond is actually screwed. Like, there is no chance he's getting out of it except for that luck with the head hitting the wires. And I love how Bond, he gradually realizes that he's screwed. Like, right here, he's confident, like, he goes at him, and then just through this entire scene, Bond realizes that there is literally no chance. Like, even against, Bond versus Jaws, Bond had a chance, but against Oddjob, there was literally nothing he could do, and I love how Oddjob just defeats him with ease. Like, he just squeezes the bar out of his hand, and how Oddjob's just laughing, like, this is easy, but I just think it's such a well-done scene, and I think the main difference between this and From Russia with Love is From Russia with Love is really tight, whereas this is very open. And I think that's a good contrast between the two movies, because although I love From Russia with Love and the Red Grant fight, I just think it's really nice how they opened it up and really gave Oddjob and Bond a huge area to fight in. And fun fact, Oddjob actually, like, really burnt his hand. Like, in real life, he burnt his hand from this scene because he wanted to get the real shot, and then Guy Hamilton was just like, okay, stop, this is too much. But I don't know, I thought that was interesting, but I just think this is a great scene. I love how Connery just, like, keeps the electricity to the bar to make sure he's dead, because he's not sure. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I know you guys are probably going to disagree with me with some of the rankings, having the Rosa Club fight so low, but we're very close to 10 subscriptions, and I promise that there will be a 10 subscriber video. But if that doesn't happen till the next video is another comparison of the Bond films, so I'll see you then.